Good evening. We're back with some more Lord of the Rings LCG. And tonight it's the 7th level on Nightmare difficulty. Be playing once again the Outlands Messenger of the King deck. And the 7th level, the whole Cause of Doom expansion is relatively mild on the difficulty scale. The third quest contains some substantial changes on the Nightmare difficulty. Book of Mizarble is a buff. I'm still trying out the Master Ring with the One Ring. Not getting much use out of it though. So I have to reveal a card, and I reveal the Hornblower Orc, who reveals two more. He reveals one more and he surges for one more, so that's a pretty bad start, I'd say. Facing 8 threat. That would cause problems with a lot of decks. And I'm thinking about whether I wanted to cancel any of those cards with the Master Ring, but I decide against it. Which means the Master Ring is going to go to waste. If I'd gotten an enemy, I think it would have been worse. I don't know. Don't know the encounter deck well enough, I suppose. So we add one resource. The Nightmare mode adds this mechanic where you're adding resources to goblin enemies, which have a variety of effects. It does surge into a goblin scout, which can't be optionally engaged once you're higher than 25 threat. It just kind of sits there, adding threat against you. Now I'm thinking about moving to the Western Hall. So you can see there that location gets +1 threat for each goblin with a resource on it. The resource mechanic for the goblins in this Nightmare mode does add a little difficulty. Generally it adds threat or attack power or something like that. So I realized that I have forgotten to automate everything. But very quickly with this deck you have an overabundance of resources if nothing discards Steward of Gondor. So we're going to be questing here. Just trying to clear the location out. Make sure I don't get location locked, and it's a cave troll, so that's pretty formidable. Another 4 threat against. If it wasn't for Faramir, I'd be in some trouble here with no Ethir Swordsman. It's 11 threat against. I'm questing for 6, I think. Oh, Erestor doesn't have to exhaust the quest, so I'm questing for 9. Book of Mizarble means he doesn't have to exhaust the quest. And he can't attack, but he can defend. So I use him to defend here, and I can attack back for 2 thanks to Knight of the Swan. And I get an Ethir Swordsman, so this deck starts at so low a threat that no big deal failing the quest. Grab another Ethir Swordsman, so now we're picking up steam here. I'll have 8 resources to play with if I move one from Faramir with the Errand-rider. Hunter of Lamedon fails to draw an ally. I decide I'll use Good Harvest to use Faramir's resource. Saves the exhaust on Errand-rider. So now each of my 1 willpower Outlands allies will quest for 4, and each of my 0 willpower Outlands allies will quest for 3. We'll have a lot of willpower available to counter this 9 threat against. I will have to engage the cave troll this round as I am at 33 threat. And that's probably going to kill the Errand-rider. And there's another enemy. But I do make some progress. Enough to clear the location and to put a little on the quest. And I can go ahead and move to the second location. So we're making progress, though I do have to engage both the cave troll and the goblin skirmisher. The hornblower only has an attack of 1. Not too big a deal. Attacking enemy attacks again after this attack, which is always annoying. I think I decided to take it undefended the second time. Thinking about whether I want to or not at this point. I'm uncertain who I may need available to take the cave troll attack or the goblin skirmisher attack. And I decide undefended will be best. If the defending character is an ally discarded from play, there is no defending character. That was a good decision. And that's going to do some extra damage. Extra 4 plus whatever the shadow card does. But 4 additional damage, it's no big deal. I have characters who can take that. Thanks to the Anfalas Herdsman. And I'm thinking about whether I want to risk the attack on Hirluin, because it does do a lot. If a shadow card had buffed him, Hirluin could have died if it buffed him by 2. He does have 6 HP thanks to the Anfalas Herdsman. And now it's my turn to get some damage in. So that's 6 right there. 1 more than I need. So making progress. That was quite a wall to get through early. The encounter deck put up threat of 11 on turn 2, I think. Not easy. This is actually a tough choice between Knight of the Swan or Warrior of Lossarnach. Warrior of Lossarnach would be the more conservative move. I don't have any armor buffs on the table, but I decide I'm going to go offense. It's risky. But I figure with the chump blocker there, the Errand-rider, probably be okay. I briefly debate using the secondary function of Heed the Dream, but some quick math reveals that I won't have the resources to do everything I want. So we got second Knight of the Swan, Errand-rider. Just gonna quest for enough to make some progress, not take any threat, maybe clear the location out. As always, Erestor does not have to exhaust thanks to Book of Mazarbel. Another Swordsman. So I do make some progress. Quested for 14. Minus what was in the staging area. I get more guys engaged. Once again, I take that undefended, and once again, it would have killed an ally. That's some good luck with the shadow cards there. So once again, I'm going to take another 4 damage. Overflow from the cave troll. I'm wondering if I can risk Erestor as a defender, but I decide probably not. And here I'm wishing I had the Warrior of Lossarnach. That's going to kill the Hunter of Lamedon. Warrior of Lossarnach could have saved him. Should have enough to clear out a lot of the board. So this is the upside to grabbing the second Knight of the Swan instead of Warrior of Lossarnach. Book of Mizarble prevents attacking, so Erestor is not going to do much. But Hirluin can take on a Swordsman. A Ethir Swordsman can take on a Swordsman. And for the Hornblower, I need 3, so Hunter of Lamedon can take that, and that'll just leave the Cave Troll behind. Can still put 6 damage on him, so that's... Maybe I should have taken out the Cave Troll and left the others, I don't know. But I decided to do it that way. Got another Ethir Swordsman and another Anfalas Herdsman. And once the Cave Troll's out of the way, I will be fully set up, and there's not much that could derail me at that point. Grab a Hunter of Lamedon with Men of the West. I opt not to use the response. Responses are optional. And I'm just going to quest for a little here. I want to take out the Cave Troll. Another enemy. This is a very enemy-heavy encounter deck. Once again, gonna be some overflow damage. The Hunter of Lamedon does have 4 HP, so there's only going to be 2 overflow damage. Oh wait, just 1 overflow damage actually. 1 shields, 4 health. Will be 1 overflow. So still with no Warriors of Lossarnach, my guys are taking damage from everything. But I got a lot of offensive power, so no problem. Should be taking out everything here. I decide the Cave Troll can go first since the other enemy only has 2 attack. And I've got enough for him anyway. So, time to move on in this quest. And should just be mop up from here, really. Board stabilized. And the challenge in this one comes from the opening wall. Or from theoretically getting overwhelmed by enemies in the middle stages. Got a location. Make enough progress to move on to phase 2. And that's going to bring in the... I have to remove the Book of Mizarble, and then it triggers the extra nightmare cards, the Chamber of Records, which gives goblin enemies some resources when they engage, but currently there aren't cards on the table to take advantage of those resources. Though the Overseer does gain plus threat, attack, and shields for the goblin with the highest resources, but if that goblin were to die or you take on the Overseer last, well then, no problem, but he would get an attack off with those boosted resources. Boosted stats from the resources. And I've got to go and find an enemy as well, I believe. Oh, I have to shuffle all of Balin's Dooms back into the deck. That's what's going on. And the Phase 2 has a requirement where I have to possibly gain an extra enemy at the end of staging. Overseer's attack is going to go on a chump blocker. Then I'll need 17 damage to take him down. No problem. That'll send the Overseer off to the victory display. And now I just need 17 progress to win. Never did use those master rings. Gaining strength doesn't do a lot at this point. I could use very good tail here. Since Forlong readies every phase, it doesn't cost a lot to use. So gain even more offensive power. Everyone's a little wounded due to no Warriors of Lossarnach ever coming out. So I need 3, 5, 10, 27, maybe 30 something probably. What have I got? 3. I'm questing with everyone, so it's going to be a lot. 5, 10, 12, 13, 14, 18, 22, 23, 24, 25, 28, 31, 33, 38 to 7. So it'll be 31 progress. I may forget here to reveal another card from the encounter deck for the phase 2. However, with the amount of progress I made, there is no enemy in the encounter deck that would have made any difference in terms of whether this was a win or a loss, so the card that I forgot would not matter. Because I overkilled it by 8, and there is no combination of enemies which could have added 8 threat. Could have potentially surged for 2 cards with the Orc Homeblower. Could have added, I suppose if I got really unlucky, could have added 8. But that would have simply delayed the win by 1 round. In the absolute worst case scenario, which would be Hornblower, Hornblower, Cave Troll. Is there more than one Cave Troll in this deck? Well, I took a look at the deck, and there is only one Hornblower in the deck, and it had already been seen, so there is no combination of enemies that could have affected this win. So, forgetting the phase 2 effect, forced effect, in this situation, no problem. That will be a relatively difficult game, all things considered, because of the high amount of threat and enemies that came down early. So everybody in this party is bleeding, almost everybody, but no problem. Thanks for watching.